Maneuvers are special techniques that the Battlemaster archetype gets to use to control the enemies, support their allies, and overall, make the combat a little more tactical. Let's get into them. Hey fellow Game Masters, I'm Richard Quiner. Welcome back to the RPG Daily, your daily dose of all things tabletop role-playing games, helping you build your world and master your game. Today, we're talking about the Battlemaster maneuvers. If you haven't seen the first Battlemaster video, it's really short. The link's going to be right over here in the corner. Go check it out, then come back and learn all about the maneuvers. Getting into how these maneuvers work, though, let's talk about it. At level 3, you're going to gain access to the Battlemaster maneuvers, and you are going to learn 3 of them right off the bat. At levels 7, 10, and 15, you can learn 2 additional Battlemaster maneuvers at each of those levels, and you are able to exchange one of your known Battlemaster maneuvers for a new one. All of these maneuvers are powered by Superiority Dice, which are D8s. At level 3, we're going to have 4 of them, and at level 7 and 15, you gain an additional Superiority Die at each of those levels. At level 10, the Superiority Die increases to a D10, and at level 18, it increases to a D12. You're going to learn how these Superiority Die play into each one of the maneuvers as we dive into them. Each time you use one of the maneuvers, you're going to expend a Superiority Die. That Superiority Die can then be regenerated after a short or long rest. Some of the maneuvers will require a saving throw from your enemy or your target. If that is the case, then the DC for that saving throw is 8, plus your proficiency bonus, plus either your strength or dexterity modifier, your choice, because fighters can be strength or dexterity fighters. It's up to you. Now let's get into all the maneuvers. First up is Ambush. This one comes into play when you are not incapacitated. In fact, all of them are come into play when you're not incapacitated. If you need to make a stealth check or an initiative roll, you can expend one of your Superiority Die, roll that, and add that number to your stealth or initiative roll. So it lets you be a little more sneaky or a little faster on the start of combat. Next up is Bait and Switch. This comes into play if you are not incapacitated and you find yourself within 5 feet of a willing creature, so generally an ally. You can expend one of your Superiority Die to switch places with that ally in that exact moment. This does spend 5 feet of movement, but does not provoke opportunity attacks if your ally happens to be in a group of enemies. What this also lets you do is you then roll that Superiority Die and then add whatever you roll to your target ally's armor class until the start of your next turn. Next is Brace. Brace happens as a reaction when a creature that you can see moves within your melee attack range. You can spend your Superiority Die to make an attack on that creature using your reaction. If the attack hits, you can then roll that Superiority Die and add that amount to the damage dealt to that target. Next is Commander Strike, and the TLDR, it lets an ally make an attack on your turn. When you, on your turn, make an attack, you can forego an additional attack to then use your bonus action and spend a Superiority Die to command a target ally who can see or hear you to make their own attack. They can then make an attack using their reaction, and if their attack hits, they can roll the Superiority Die and add that die to the damage of that attack. Next is Commanding Presence. This is more of a social kind of skill. Whenever you are making an Intimidation, Performance, or Persuasion check, you can expend one of your Superiority Die, roll that die, and then add that number to your Intimidation, Performance, or Persuasion checks. Next is the Disarming Attack, where you literally try to disarm an enemy. When you hit a target with an attack, you can spend one Superiority Die to attempt to knock an item out of their hand. The target creature needs to make a Strength saving throw, and if they fail that Strength saving throw, one item of your choice is dropped. Right then and there, it falls at their feet. You can then roll the Superiority Die and add that roll to the damage from your initial attack. Next is Distracting Strike, where you try to distract an enemy so an ally can have a more advantageous attack on them. First up, when you hit a creature with an attack, you can spend a Superiority Die, roll that, and add that to the damage of that attack. Then, until the start of your next turn, the next attack on that target creature will have advantage, signifying that you've left an opening for your ally to get in and hit the target. Next, we have Evasive Footwork, which gives you a little more protection when you're on the go. Whenever you are moving, you can spend a Superiority Die, you roll that die and you gain that number as a bonus to your armor class until you stop moving. This means you can move, make a hit, keep moving until the end of your turn, or until you say, I'm done moving for my turn. So breaking up movement is perfectly fine in this situation. This comes in handy if you move into an area and then a creature makes perhaps an opportunity attack against you as you're moving out of the area, or you move into a space where a creature can use their reaction to hit you, or legendary actions, different things. So it does have its uses, even though it seems like it doesn't have a whole lot, because it only is in effect while you're moving. Next is Feinting Attack. Earlier we had Distracting Attack to give an ally advantage. For Feinting Attack, we are giving ourselves an advantage on an attack roll. On our turn, as a bonus action, we can spend one of these Superiority Dice and choose a target creature within 5 feet of us. When we make our next attack on that creature, we gain advantage on the attack. And if the attack succeeds, we roll the Superiority die and add that to our damage. Next up, we have Goading Attack, which this encourages an enemy to come at you instead of at your allies. When you make an attack on your turn, you can then spend this Superiority die. If the attack hits, you add the Superiority die roll to the damage of that attack. Then the creature must make a Wisdom saving throw, and if they fail, they will have disadvantage on any attacks against any other creature other than you until the start of your next turn. Next is Grappling Strike, where you try to actually grapple your enemy after you make an attack. When you make an attack and hit a creature, you can spend one of your Superiority die to cause that creature to have to save from being grappled. A grapple consists of you making an athletics check versus their athletics or acrobatics check. You can then roll the Superiority die and add that number to your athletics check in your attempt to grapple your target. Next, we have Lunging Attack. Lunging Attack comes into play when there is a target just out of reach of your 5-foot range, if that is your 5-foot range, or 10 feet if you're using a great weapon or something with reach. How this works is on your turn, you can choose to make a melee attack and spend a Superiority die at the same time, and this adds another 5 feet onto your reach as you are lunging at your enemy. You make your attack roll as usual. If you hit the target, then you can roll the Superiority die and add that damage to the damage of that hit. Next is Maneuvering Attack. This lets you have an ally move a little bit to reposition, maybe for something better later on. When you hit a creature with your weapon attack, you can then spend a Superiority die, add that Superiority die to the damage of that attack. Then you choose an ally who can see or hear you within range, and that ally can then move up to half of their movement without provoking an opportunity attack from the creature that you hit. This is really good if you're in a position where someone might be surrounded or have, a couple enemies next to it, and you can get in there, stop one from making an opportunity attack, and let them get away a little more safely. So it does have some usability and protective attributes for your party. Next, we have Menacing Attack. This scares your enemies. When you make an attack on an enemy, if you hit them, you can spend a Superiority die, roll that, add that to the damage from the attack. The target then has to make a Wisdom saving throw, and if they fail, then they are frightened of you until the end of your next turn. Next, we have Parry, which is a defensive maneuver for you. When you take damage from a melee attack, as a reaction, you can spend a Superiority die to reduce the damage received. The damage received is reduced by whatever you roll on that Superiority die, plus your Dexterity modifier. Next is Precision Attack. Precision Attack lets you make your attack a little more precise, because that's the name of it. What you do when you go to make an attack, you can spend a Superiority die, roll that die, and add that to the attack roll that you are attempting. You can choose to use this before or after you make your attack roll. So you could make your attack roll, see it's a little low, and then add your Superiority die to get more precision. But you need to make that decision before the outcome is revealed by the DM. Next is Pushing Attack. When you hit a target creature with your attack, you can try to shove them. You spend a Superiority die, add that roll onto your damage from the initial attack. Then that target creature has to make a Strength saving throw, and if they fail the Strength saving throw, they are pushed 15 feet away. I should also mention that the creature has to be sized large or smaller. Next is Quick Toss, which takes place if you are going to use a weapon with a thrown attribute. You can use the Quick Toss, spend a Superiority die, to allow you to draw and throw the weapon in the same action. You can then roll that Superiority die and add that to the damage from that thrown attack. Next, we have Rally, which is just a buff for one of your allies. On your turn, as a bonus action, you can spend a superiority die. You can then choose an ally who can see or hear you, and they gain temporary HP equal to the superiority die that you just rolled, plus your charisma ability score modifier. Riposte is a lashback at an enemy. When a creature that you can see makes an attack at you and misses, you can then spend a superiority die to make an attack back at them. If the attack successfully hits, you get to roll that superiority die and add that to the damage of the attack. Next up, we have Sweeping Attack, where you get to spread the damage to a different creature when you make an attack. So when you make an attack and hit one creature, you can spend a superiority die to then choose a new target who is within 5 feet of your first target and within your reach. If your initial attack roll beats the armor class of the second target, they will then take damage equal to the superiority die roll. Next is Tactical Assessment. This lets you get a better idea of what's going on around you. When you make an investigation, history, or insight check, you can spend a superiority die to roll it and add that to your check. So now we have some that involve kind of strength-based attributes, you have some that involve charisma-based attributes, and now you have some that are more intelligence and wisdom-based attributes that you can use the superiority die to enhance. And last, number 23 is Trip Attack. This happens when you make an attack on a target and you succeed. You can then spend one of your superiority die. You roll that die and add that to the damage of the attack. Then, if that creature is size large or smaller, they have to make a strength saving throw. If they fail the strength saving throw, they are then knocked prone. I know that was a very long list and kind of rapid fire, but that is 23 Battlemaster maneuvers, and you can see just by looking at them, the mix and match opportunity here is endless, which is why Tasha's has several different builds that you can do, so all Battlemasters can be a little different. That is why this archetype is so powerful. I think these maneuvers come into play. It gives a little extra game mechanic that some people can really get into, like key points, Battlemaster maneuvers. There's things like that. Sorcery points are another one. I find those really interesting, and I think those makes every class stand out a little bit. And I think for fighters, the Battlemaster is, to me, one of the more interesting archetypes around there. Let me know your thoughts of the Battlemaster and all of these different maneuvers. Do you have a favorite? I don't have a favorite yet. They're all pretty good. Similar to the archery shots, arcane shots, they're all pretty good. If you like the video or the channel, I would invite you to like the video and hit that subscribe button to join us here on YouTube. And if you hit the bell icon, it's supposed to notify you when the videos go live. Supposed to. Who knows if that actually happens. If you want to come chat D&D with the rest of us nerds, come join us on Discord where we talk about D&D stuff sometimes. And also, if you need models, 3D minis for your tabletop, come check out my Etsy store. I have a lot of models. I 3D print them and ship them to you. And if you use the code RPGDaily10, you can get 10% off on any order. And it goes to support the channel. That's kind of the big deal right there. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I've been Richard. Thanks for watching.